We are at the final point of this session of Open Government Directive. It's been, I would say, Leanne Nurse of the EPA. We already interviewed Patricia Bonner. I think she's your coworker.
Yes, Pat and I have been working together for many years on opening up the government.
Wow, and many years being?
Well, the last 8 years we helped evolve and develop and issue a public involvement policy which works for EPA and has served as a model for other government agencies, both federal, state, and local.
Well, I know you have to be real proud about the creating a model, because this type of initiative to basically reinvent government needs a framework. And I think this conference would, if those who attended on internet, as well as those who will watch this when we present, will agree that this has been a truly insightful and informational discussion on open government, collaboration, participation, and transparency. What I have a question for you, Leanne, is in regards to how you see our TV show, What's Up Government, is focused on advancing small and minority-owned businesses in the contract world. One of the challenges we hope to be turning into opportunities is that with the American Recovery Reinvestment Act and this Open Government Directive, there could be a double whammy of opportunity in the way of a White House mandate to make sure small and minority businesses are able to grow and create jobs as a result of this open government. What's your thoughts from an EPA perspective? And then, just because you've been in government for some time, tell us how you feel the reality is for small and minority businesses.
Well, I think there are many new opportunities.
So, Leanne, with the history that you have at EPA, you know about how challenging it tends to be to go through various bureaucracies. But Patricia did a stunning job of basically making it very clear in her presentation that you have to have a clear vision in order to create a sustainable decision-making process. You have to engage various stakeholders. Where do you believe EPA is now that we know that you've created this model in the way of advancing at EPA this open government directive?
Well, I think we'll see several places where there are new initiatives within our Office of Solid Waste and Emergency Response, the people who run the Superfund program. They are now in the process of internally looking at a community engagement initiative, which will cover both in-person, on the ground, and Web 2.0 tools, how to better connect with communities. In the Office of Water, the Urban Waters program will be looking not only at social media and policy to actually improve the quality of drinking water and open streams and rivers, but also how to create economic opportunities for communities. So there are many places within the agency where we see emerging work on using new social media tools, on working with the principles of public engagement. But what I'm hoping is that through the Open Government Directive, we'll see a system-level shift so that it will have an agency-level champion, that will have an active community of practice, and that will be able to both offer training and continue to develop new workers who have the kinds of skills set for collaborative approaches.
So in this Open Government Directive, at specifically EPA, do you see a shift in the way community outreach is generally done by internal agency departments going into communities as government workers, using more of an outreach to outsource and get stakeholders who are actually from the community, the business community, to manage some of that outreach? Or?
Well, this is one of the opportunities that we have. The administrator, Lisa Jackson, has clearly stated that we want to reach out, engage, and become more credible with communities that are suffering from excess pollution, who've been left out of the conversation. The Director of Solid Waste and Emergency Response, Matty Stanislaus, has said personally that he's pledged, and he's been doing this, going to local communities. There is a meeting now in New Orleans on brownfields, which are the lightly contaminated sites, and there's several thousand people there. Many different sessions, an all-day session yesterday, that was run by local academics, community organizers, and government officials about environmental justice. So within the shifting mix of government becoming both more effective from a programmatic standpoint, we get better numbers. We're also building and restoring trust with our communities and with our citizens so that they become active participants in co-creating good solutions.
Well, we certainly hope that you remember What's Up Government, because we are another channel to the community at large on this type of information. And as you're talking about brownfield, something that I've had some experience in, how important that is to be able to turn buildings that have been abandoned because of toxicity and create jobs out of them where people can actually restore their own financial well-being. So EPA really has a foundational and fundamental importance to people's lives in so many different ways. I agree with you, and Patricia, this open government is so very critical to happen. And so thank you so much. The last question I had on the Web 2.0 project, is that something that's already completed and all of the engaged entities involved with that have been selected, or is that an evolving process?
That's been evolving over the last 10 to 12 years. It was actually, I came from one of the regional offices to Washington, and we began to work both across the content management side from public affairs with our Office of Environmental Information. We have a policy internally about how those two offices work together, which was a miraculous development, but it was the work of a few pioneers like Pat Bonner, Jeff Levy, who's our web director, content side. We have now created a community of practice internally of over 400 people in a web work group. We have a social media task force. Our web work group in EPA is leading the Content Managers Forum across the federal spectrum. And what's most important is that because of the way they have evolved, the kind of training they're offering, the kinds of accountability that they have in terms of measurement and really feeding back into the system their good results, they serve as a model for extending progress without the agency. And it's most important because EPA is about to turn 40, and so next year will be our 40th anniversary. So we really have to look at how we do our work in a more holistic way, and using good communications and change management and knowledge management tools as part of that.
Great. Well, we'll be, Leanne, very much so following up with you. We certainly would love to have, especially the small and minority-owned businesses, be able to be a part of that whole entire recrafting of the agency's communication channels. That's great. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. This has been What's Up Government TV here at the Washington Public Library, Open Government Directive, and it has been a day of much information, and I believe that the next conference is going to be in 8 weeks. I would say that we should keep our eyes peeled to Open Government Directive through this group. Thank you so much.